Nico Leonard does this, and he gets a lot of views. So today we are ranking our favorite watch brands.
Watch fam, I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael, and this video is sponsored by Squarespace.
More on our friends over at Squarespace later.
Yes.
Today we're doing a tier list. We're doing the annual, right, in the wake of Nico,
yes.
Tier list. We take a look at the major watch brands in the world, and then some other ones that are, a little bit, I don't even know why they're on the list, but we're going to rank them anyway, right?
Yeah.
And there's some competitive there are some competitive brands here, right? Like, I think there's going to be some upsets. I think that...
Especially this year. I don't think this was a very exciting year for a lot of brands.
And I think that I'm going to have a major upset here. Maybe it's predictable, which I guess
Rolex is going to be an
the
A.
word upset. But it's from an Italian brand. Yeah, I think I'm going to, it's going to be interesting. So, all right, so let's get into it. Where do you want to start, Michael?
I want to start, I'll start with my own personal one because it's the lowest stakes one here. Casio for me has always been top tier, but I have fully dove into digital watches basically entirely. The CW&T watch that I have, I wore that last night and I was like, wow, I can't get enough of digital watches. So I don't think you'll argue, or you might actually, but I was going to put Casio in S.
So last year, and this is a good example of how things change, I probably would have put Casio... I mean, I never cared about Casio, so I would have put them in like C or something, and you would have wanted them in S, and I would have said, okay, let's put them in A, and it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
I actually agree with you completely now. Just spending, you finally weathered me down over 3 years. I have a Casio. I love my Casio. I recommend Casio. I gave a Casio as a gift pretty recently to a friend.
Wow.
Tori.
Tori.
Yeah, my Uncle Tori.
Wow.
I love Casio, and you were right about it all along, and I was wrong, and there you go.
Boom.
There you go.
Okay.
Next time I see Michael, he has a big tattoo on his chest of the date and time.
I was right. And it looks like a Casio. It says received.
That was brilliant.
Okay, you pick a little troublesome one.
So here's again. Let's keep going with kind of controversial, like or something that's kind of surprising. Hermès. So there was a time, a couple of years ago, Hermès was really had some momentum.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When
the Cape Cod watch?
Not the Cape Cod. Like, the Cape Cod's actually kind of part of it. Like, the Cape Cod is kind of a cultural icon, even though it's not like a great watch. It's definitely an icon, kind of maybe a little unsung in watch culture, but the Slim and then the H08. I really like these watches. These are watches that, like, Hodinkee got behind and everyone kind of got behind, and they were exciting and they were great. And I still stand behind the fact that Hermès was really onto something for a while. It seems to me as if they kind of divested. Like these
really, like they went into it and they're like, oh, this actually doesn't pay as well as we thought.
Yeah, maybe we actually don't need to take this all that seriously.
Yes.
And it was kind of surprising to me. So I would have said, years ago when I first got into this, 10 years ago, I would have said, Hermès is a D because of some of the cultural clout behind the Cape Cod. I'll give them a C. Mm-hmm. And then time went on and we were like, wait, Hermès, like Bulgari, seems to be this like unsuspecting hero.
Fighting chance. What was that watch a good friend of ours had? The Hermès.
The H08.
That was H08.
It's a great watch.
That was an incredible watch.
Freaking phenomenal watch.
Yeah.
Like Aquanaut
Comp. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I was like, okay, Hermès is going to go to A. I mean, Hermès could even go to S. It's of course not in the same way that like another brand we'll talk about later.
Versace.
But, right. So of course. And yet Hermès lost the momentum. They petered out. I would still buy an Hermès, albeit at a deep discount.
Sure.
I would recommend an Hermès, no problem. I would love to. I'd love to see Cape Cod on somebody. I'd love to see a Slim.
I always wanted a Cape Cod.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I'm from Cape Cod.
I never thought about that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how I knew about the watch forever.
Wow, that's cool. I never thought about that. That's meaningful.
Wow.
And if it's
that has something.
I have to get
it.
one in solid gold and give it to you, and it's both of us together in one watch. You're like, cool. When are you going to get it?
You're like, after your Daytona.
Being more allegorical. Anyway, Hermès, unfortunately, while they could have been an A or an S, I'd give them I'm somewhere between B and C, and I got to go with C at the moment. And it's not just because of the watches. The watches are probably in the B, but because they've divested a little bit, I got to put them in the C.
That's fascinating.
That's sad. It's disappointing.
Is there another brand that invested a ton in watchmaking, made a watch? Doesn't have to be the coolest watch ever, but clearly showed they invested a lot in it, and then we're like, actually, no, that's not really our market.
Well, like I think Ralph Lauren is a good example of a brand.
They're the premier example.
Yeah, like they've created some incredible watches. The Slim Classique is, I think, one of the greatest watches, one of the greatest dress watches of the last 20 years.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. That was a watch I saw in college where I was like, oh, that's a watch. That's a watch that I want right now.
How is it that Ralph Lauren, someone that has no business in the watch business, right? Not really.
Yeah, truly.
Created one of the greatest dress watches of the last 20 years. They beating Patek Philippe, beating Vacheron Constantin, time only. Truly, I really feel that way.
I do too.
That is right. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then they divested a little bit. The Bear watch is a silly, and I put Ralph Lauren in the same category, C or close to D.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually put, if Hermès is in C, then Ralph Lauren's in D. If Ralph Lauren's in C, Hermès is in B.
Ralph Lauren paved the way for what brand makes an incredible watch, and then it's like, forget it.
Yep. Totally.
100%.
Really weird.
Gucci,
I give them a D. Yeah. You know, Gucci's such a good example. Did you see the Gucci movie?
No.
So House of Gucci. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like it's like good at parts and it's silly at others and whatever. But there's a lot of interesting dynamic that goes on, and you meet Al Pacino's character, who I think his name is Aldo Gucci. He was like he was like the guy. You know?
Okay, sure.
And what's kind of funny about this character is he totally he was just making so much money. He had no problem selling trinkets and watering the brand down. No problem. And that was like part of it, right? Like
I find that happens to brands. Once it gets to a certain size, you forget the customer exists.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that adds a lot.
We just make a fortune.
Yeah.
And that became like an argument in the movie between Lady Gaga's character, who was, I think it was Maurizio Gucci's wife. I forget her name. Anyway, she's just like, this is our brand. You're ruining it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, basically, do you see the fucking money?
Yes.
And I think that Gucci still does that. I think that they have a pretty big disregard.
What do you think is bigger for brands like Gucci? There's Versace. I'm just looking at this list. What do you think is bigger? Their powerhouse things like a Gucci loafer, or their T-shirts that just say Gucci on them?
It's a fantastic question. I mean, you know, it's like back to. It's really hard to answer that question, right? Because on a cash level, that's one answer. And then on a brand level, which is like a long-term value level,
of course,
that's another thing.
Yeah.
Right. So if something makes you, if one makes you $100 million, the other makes you $50 million for the next 5 years, but the one that makes you $100 million ruins your brand that's worth $10 billion. It's like, did you really win?
The cash cow is killing your brand.
Yeah.
Right.
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So that's not good. You know, not to say that Gucci's killing its brand. Gucci could be stronger than ever. Gucci is stronger than ever. But they're
Gucci for life.
The total departure from what it, I think, was supposed to be.
Yeah.
At its best. But maybe Gucci's best day is not representative of the brand, right? Maybe Gucci at its best, which was, you know, in the middle of the 20th century, you know, super classic, you know, just elegant. Maybe that's not really at this point.
That wasn't Gucci's form.
Right. That was just like, oh, wow, you're actually doing really well right now. Not, this is your DNA. I don't know the answer to the question. It's tough.
Yeah. I'm going to put Versace there as well, unless you have anything to say about that. Are there any other brands here that I could just kind of toss out?
Yeah. Ferragamo. You could throw Ferragamo
I don't even know.
out.
For watches?
I'm throwing them out. And that's it.
TF?
Tom Ford. Throw them out.
Tom Ford.
It's just a stupid thing. No interest.
I'll put Raymond Weil. Should I put them in D? I feel terrible. I feel like they'd be the one that would watch.
We'll talk more about them later.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
No. Let's get into where do you put Tissot?
Tissot, with the rise of the PRX, that's not even this year really. I would put them. Oh, you know what? I would put them at A, but I want to factor in the pure hatred for the digital PRX, and not even in my perspective, because I like that watch, but that to me was, judging by the watch world's reaction, when a baseball player goes up, they hit a home run, and the next time they go up, they're so cocky that they're going to hit another one, they strike out.
Yeah, you're exactly
So that
right.
might put them to B because that shows, oh, you got lucky then. Because you didn't come out immediately with another punch when you had the formula right in front of you.
I think period end. I think you said everything that needs to be said.
Boom. Where is it? I can't even see it. I'm blinded, dude. You want to know one I want to go to real quick? Bovet.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So I would never have had an opinion on Bovet.
It's just on this list.
Like that long ago.
Yeah.
And I was at an event, Watch Time, actually. It's Watch Time this past year. And someone was like admiring Bovet, and he was talking about it, and he's like, no one does blue like them. It's like a miracle.
Really?
And I said, okay, sure.
Wow.
He's like, I can't believe it. I want one. I'm like, really? Because of the blue?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you look past the rest for the blue.
Right.
And he's like, rest? What do you mean? And I was like, they're awfully ugly watches, don't you think?
Is this how you were both talking? Were you sipping on something fancy?
Champagne.
They're awfully ugly watches.
They're
Don't you
awfully
think?
ugly
Well,
watches,
I could possibly hardly look back to his ooh.
And and that's how I really felt. But he disagreed. I don't care about Bovet. I think, I know this may be being nasty, but
yeah.
I think that your history, when your watches are that ugly, in my opinion, I think the cases are just rough. I think it's just not good.
Yeah.
I think if your watches are that ugly, there is no amount of history or craftsmanship that I'm going to be interested in.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Is it the it looks like a World War I trench watch mixed in with
Pocket
a
watch.
pocket. Yeah, I guess that's exactly essentially what it is. It's a trench watch that they never modified. That's exactly what it is.
It's just bizarre. It seems kitschy to me. I have no interest in it.
The
I don't
blue is
care
nice,
how
though.
the blue is beautiful. He's correct about that. I mean, if there was an award for best blue, I would say, okay, sure.
And I just realized we could have a totally different podcast or whatever this is, where we don't really make jokes, but we just make tiny little comments. The blue is nice, though. The blue is nice. I do appreciate the blue.
So other than that, apart from yeah, they'd have my vote for best blue.
Yeah.
I don't think you should buy them.
What a terrible. We're giving out like the Dundies.
Yeah, exactly.
Most innovative, best watch brand, best marketing strategy, best blue. I would say, the only thing I'll say is if we were doing this video in the 1940s, Bovet would be S. Because they're chronographs from the 1940s. Their styling, their text back then.
There you go.
Incomparable.
There you go.
Uncomparable? I think the blue is delightful.
Disproportionately good.
Yeah.
Like, did you say disproportionately good?
So
Overwhelmingly
wow.
good.
So I suggest you check out Vintage if you're looking at Bovet. But where would you put them now?
I just don't give a shit. C.
I
mean, like, and frankly, I'd be inclined to go D, but
look at the lineup. D, right,
of
course.
Just give them C.
Yeah, that's tough. They have a lot of history, a lot of beautiful.
You know
watches
what? Giving them C was like someone like if someone really hurts you,
yeah,
but like you're friends with their father, you say, out of respect to your father,
I'll give you C.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Out of respect for your blue color.
That's it. Because you used to be good. That's it.
Yeah. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. You have a website and a domain, and a website and a domain.
I couldn't feel more passionately about Squarespace. I don't just recommend Squarespace to people that are just starting their new business and need a website. I recommend Squarespace to people that have a website and a business or portfolio online that want to make it better. Squarespace is such an incredible service. Their templates are not just beautiful, but they're so functional. I didn't have the budget when I started Theo and Harris to build a website with a developer. I couldn't have afforded a Squarespace website if I had made it custom, right? But because Squarespace enables, creators to comb through their templates and build out these beautiful professional sites that are branded and nuanced, they're positioning you for success. Period. End. I love Squarespace, and I highly recommend you go on over to Squarespace and you make an account and you start poking around and you trust Squarespace with your future.
Yeah. And Squarespace makes it even easier than when you started with their new Fluid engine. You can drag and drop things easier. You can schedule blog posts, and if you have a retail shop or hope to one day have an in-store physical retail shop, you can use their point of sale system and grow with the brand and not have to redo anything later down the line.
That's it.
Yeah. So you can go to squarespace.com/Theo Harris to save 10% off your first order of a website or domain.
Sounds good. Thank you to Squarespace.
Invicta. There's a special, as much as Invicta gets destroyed, when I first started in the watch world. Actually, no. You know what? Never mind. This is negative because their sales tactic.
When I first started, I was trying to pick up a different world, and I was like, he does do denim. So if I say denim, the joke doesn't land. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like he's a bit of a nerd now that I find. When I first started, this I thought was a positive, but it's not. Invicta was the first brand I looked at because there's Submariner ripoffs, essentially. Right. And then you see their marketing strategy where they're like, this watch should be $900, but we're marketing it down today.
Yes.
I was young enough where I was like, wow.
That's
and
a score.
It's automatic. That's incredible. Yeah. That's very predatorial in the watch world.
Yeah. It's predatory. It may be a word. I don't know. Honestly, you're pulling such weird words out of your ass these days.
Predatorial TV video that matters.
Predatorial. I mean, I guess it. I just say predatory. I mean, I don't know. You know?
Sam in the video that we did together said, you're really messing up talking today. And I was like, no.
Pot in the kettle, my man.
Is that what always...
Yeah. No. Sam can't read, so...
I'm giving them a D for the predatorial nature.
The only... I'll give them a D. I'll give them a D as well. I was going to give them a C. And the only reason I was going to give them a C is because, they're not innovative... whatever.
Sure.
But they do serve a purpose in the watch world, and people do like them, and sometimes for decent reason. Like, I can understand why you'd want a Submariner homage for a couple $100. It's automatic. I can get behind that.
Sure.
So I think that they deliver more to the industry than Tom Ford, Ferragamo, Gucci, and Versace.
Wow. I think that is the hottest take of this video.
That's a hot take.
That is a very hot take.
I'm defending Invicta a little bit.
You would push that to C.
I push it to C. It's okay.
Wow.
We don't need
I think we got to keep it at D,
That's
just
fine.
for the sake of this channel.
Yeah.
Because Invicta, I feel like, is what people see as the definition of evil. But I don't know if it's because they do make some hideous, 85 millimeter gross watches, or because of their price gouging.
I don't know.
If they only made ripoffs, I wonder where they'd be.
Right.
Okay, let's do another toasty one. Do you want to do the one that... Actually, you know what? Before we do the one that gets you upset, I'm assuming it's a little bad.
No, it doesn't get me upset. It's the opposite.
It's not Panerai.
No, it's the opposite. It's not upset.
Whoa.
I think Bulgari's S.
Bulgari.
Yeah.
Bulgari. Okay, I was saying Panerai.
Yeah.
Bulgari.
It's a Roman jeweler. It's not an Italian watch brand, but it's an Italian brand. I mean,
sure,
legitimately.
Sure.
I think that Bulgari is actually more important to Italian culture than Panerai.
I think people would think you're saying that because of the Octo Finissimo, but you're actually saying it because of the Serpente.
I am.
Yes,
yeah, I'm saying it because it's fundamental Roman culture. I mean, Bulgari is important to Italy.
If there is a brand that reminds me not of diving in the 40s, but way, way old Italy, it's Bulgari.
Totally.
It's
been black and white.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's Italian elegance. Panerai,
It's sculptures. It's this and that. When
Yes.
Panerai is... No, it's diving. It's
Panerai is
very
just
seriously...
a tool, and it was a smart tool made by some Italian
Rolex.
people. Right.
Yeah.
It was a smart tool made by, in part, certainly designed by Italian people.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's representative of Italy. I don't think it's a product of, or I don't think it's in parallel or of equal reflection.
Yeah.
With Bulgari. Bulgari represents Italian culture.
I think pure S.
Yeah, pure S. I think it's...
That's so true. I didn't look at it that way until you said it, but we're going deep into Italy. This watch is made out of marble. This watch is made out of this.
Oh yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
That's amazing. I don't know if any other brand on this list is actually as representative of their culture. I think that, of course, Swiss identity and Swiss culture is so fundamental to watchmaking. Maybe Patek is very Swiss. I don't know. I don't even know because, I also don't really think that Switzerland as a country has as loud of an identity as Italy. So there's less to reflect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're reflecting Swiss
sure.
culture, you're reflecting subtlety, right? You're reflecting subtlety.
You're reflecting essentially the essential watch.
Right.
There's not a lot of crazy design.
Subtlety and, patience.
We do it
when
right.
You're reflecting
it's quiet,
Italian design. You're reflecting
pizza,
passione,
linguine,
amore,
sausage.
You're reflecting God. Such a history of design.
Yeah.
I don't think the same we said about for the Swiss. So I think that Bulgari is the brand on this list that has the most of cultural identity. Period.
Wow.
I think that the only competing brand would be Cartier. Cartier is decidedly French. like and less so than Bulgari.
Yeah.
But compared to everyone else on the list,
I was gonna say, because when you really like, Cartier to me is French in the 20s and 30s. That's
Right.
the epitome. Can you reach back further with a French design? And if so, what would that styling
right,
be?
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Bulgari definitely reigns supreme on this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cartier.
Where
This
do I
year.
put them?
This year, remember.
Yeah, this year it's tough.
The releases and everything.
You know, so really we're talking about the new Tank American, large improvement.
Sure.
And it's better dial, really. And we're talking about the
We're talking
Tank
about the
Normal.
And just a more general release of the 3 color tanks. And a lot of mechanical tanks, too, at lower prices.
A, for sure. And like, I think borderline S,
I would say, yeah,
but I'm
because
going to give him A.
I was also going to put him in A because of, and it's not a failure because it was very successful, but the failure of the solar quartz, not being able to source everything
right.
and ending that line.
That's
That
a
to me
mess.
would almost put them in B, because that's like, you guys,
So, and that's
you had
another
it.
really interesting question. So, like, were they not able to manufacture them
Solar B, sorry.
were they not able to manufacture them? Or is it worse than that? And if you own one, is it going to be serviceable? Like, will that be able to last? Like,
Yeah.
will Cartier stand behind that? Are they going to give credit? Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
That was
there.
an incredibly short run.
It was weird. So
Yeah.
I definitely give them an A. I agree with you. You know, I think that, you know, at some point, I would really, really like to buy a skeleton Cartier. I think the greatest one of
Yeah.
all time is the Crash. I think it's just the best.
Okay.
I think that the Normal skeleton is incredible.
Yeah.
I buy that in a
yeah,
heartbeat.
Yep.
I think that you know, one of those two. I think they're perfect. Right. I think that the Centre is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got a lot of negative space, so you see through a lot.
Yes.
A lot more glass.
Yeah. But you
And
don't like that.
I don't like that as much.
I really like not seeing, like, I want to just see the simplest movement you can make.
Yeah.
Because I think that is so weird. Where you're like, wow, that's it.
Peter just got rid of his Louis skeleton.
Pay Paul to kill Peter.
Yeah. Paul loads his gun and goes kills another one of my friends.
You're
I'm
like,
what?
those are all my friends' names.
Why
I'm
are you
like,
doing
they're all
that?
named very biblically.
Very biblically. So yeah, I would love to own one of those watches one day. I would love to own the Normal.
Yeah.
I love the Crash more, but I love the Normal.
Okay.
One day.
Sorry for just cutting you off.
No.
Let's blast some brands that didn't change much this year.
Yep.
And get to some hotter
Yep.
topics. IWC, I will give you 1 point. We'll do this. Let me do this part. Okay, so I want to kind of clear this board a little bit. We'll do 1 point ratings.
Yep.
Like, as in, what did you do this year that made me think of
Yep.
you? IWC tried to rip their customers off with the Ingenieur.
Yep.
Where do you put that?
C.
Yep, same. That may have been last year, but close enough.
And I think that is a downgrade from B,
Yes.
which is really good rating for them because their price. I mean, being a B at that price is like amazing.
Yep.
It's an amazing compliment.
Yep.
They've got great history. They've got some great watches. I just think that the Ingenieur was a ripoff, and I want to give them a ding.
Yes, as do I. Zenith. I would normally put Zenith in S. I could argue A this year just because their releases felt a little slower. But I don't think they released a lot of absolute bangers like they have in the past. I think their Defy collection, their Revival collection, basically all of their chronographs are amazing. But I wanted to see more iterations of that this year in different forms. And we didn't get that as much. But they did release cool watches.
You generally go S, and you're gonna go A. I generally go S with you. I'm more of an A on Zenith, but I'll give you the A.
Boom. Okay, Movado. I would say this could be one of the greatest brands of all time.
Yes.
If they could figure out their museum watch. I think they lost their way. I think they should make a very simple gold mechanical one.
Yeah.
That would be an icon in the watch world. And they just never do. They did with Zenith way
They
back
could do
when.
so much, dude. They have such a rich history. Movado is such a missed opportunity.
Oh, besides, ignoring just the museum watch, they have an entire history that is also ignored.
Movado could, just for press, make a couple thousand, runs of 5,000 that would sell out immediately.
Their chronographs, one of my favorite designs ever, the museum dial, which is in the MoMA,
Yeah.
which is incredible. It's supposed to reflect the sun telling you the time.
It would be amazing. I mean, I guess 5,000 on the lower end of the price bracket, right? Like if you're going to make a cool $1,000 watch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that Movado, similar to Mont Blanc, has so much history and could really compete even at the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 range and make hundreds of watches.
One of the greatest brands of all time.
500 triple calendars, and they would get so much press.
One of the greatest
brands. And they
brands.
make money.
Yeah.
But they make so much press.
Unbelievable. All of their old watches, back to the 20s, they were making chronometers before a lot of other brands were.
Right.
Unbelievable. And they've just never picked that up.
Curious.
C?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Maybe even D.
I know. D's hard. D is hard.
D's hard.
D, you know what? I'll give them a D because you have so many amazing designs that I just feel like you drop the ball again and again and again. So you're over-engineering a perfect watch.
Yes, you are perpetually failing.
You got in a museum and then couldn't make the watch that got you there again.
Yep, agreed.
Which is very weird. Okay, what else should we run through? Ulysse, Nardin.
They're coming back with the Freak. It's cool.
They got Nico to talk about the Freak, so he got a bag.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
I'll give the brand, because of the Freak, I'll give them a B. And the Freak is probably an A watch.
Sure.
It's just the brand as a whole is not my jam. So the Freak is an A. The UN as a brand is a B, because the rest, a lot of the other watches, I think, are in the C category. So I'm balancing it out.
Is the Freak the beginning, you think, of a total rebrand of a movement in a different direction?
It's totally possible, right? The Freak is, Ulysse Nardin is not an independent watch brand. The Freak is a very independent watch.
Yes,
right?
Fully.
So it's interesting to see them go there.
And it's an actual decision instead of what I feel like they have been doing, which is just like, we'll try something that looks like that.
Agreed.
Maybe completely. A boat. It should look like a boat.
Yeah.
But it's not like going in any direction.
Yeah. The Ulysse Nardin is for Russian oligarchs. Like that's
really?
It's just for guys who like have a lot of money and no taste. That's it. And now that's not to say that there aren't some cool, funky Ulysse Nardin marine watches in rose gold.
Sure.
I'm just talking by and large. That's who's wearing these watches. And if you're not that person and you're wearing one, you're a rare exception, and that's okay too. Obviously, Piaget is for sleazeballs, right? Like, and you can say a lot about me, but I'm not sleazy, right? I'm obnoxious, over-opinionated, stupid. All these things kind of heavy. Maybe
you're hurting my friend. You're hurting my friend Christian. When people say that?
Sleazy. Yeah.
People say that to me when I'm joking. Sometimes I'm like, I just suck at baseball. They're like, you're hurting my friend Michael. I'm like, what? Okay, we'll keep blasting through.
Yes.
Jacob & Co. to me always in the D.
I don't care about Jacob & Co. at all.
Yes,
I don't. It's a ridiculous brand, and I don't care. No.
Richard Mille,
whatever. Yeah.
I would say, even if their watches didn't change, their fall off in the secondary market, the value there hurts the brand in its entirety.
Yep.
Where'd you put them?
C.
Boom. Okay, Raymond Weil. I almost put these.
And I'm going to defend Richard Mille for just a second.
I will say I really like their style.
So do I. I actually like Richard Mille. I don't like the culture around the watch. You can't always hold the culture against the brand, right?
Sure.
I guess they've created it a little bit, but sometimes you've created a Frankenstein. You don't know what to do with it. It's an original, right? It's an original design. And we just did an episode of Liquor Run, actually, the first episode of Liquor Run back.
Big role.
On the Zero. We're exclusively doing Liquor Run on the Zero, our podcast community, and we're doing it, once every 3-4 weeks with my dad. And we actually went through one of the greatest Talking Watches episodes, which was Ben Clymer interviewing John Goldberger for the second time. And my dad and I combed through it and talked about it for like 40 minutes and all about, how times have changed, how collecting has changed, and how these brands have changed. And he does pay Richard Mille a compliment and says he has one, he doesn't want another, and they're kind of really expensive, but they are an original watch. Richard Mille as a brand has really. They have their own design language, and that's very rare to come by.
They took a step.
I do give Richard Mille credit. I do think that great collectors of wealth, obviously, ought to own one Richard Mille. I think that most people that own a Richard Mille are not great collectors.
Yes. Yeah.
Next.
Seiko. It's like, to me, Seiko just lives in B. It's like you never do anything crazy. You never do anything bad. You're just doing a lot at the same time.
I don't care about Seiko, but Seiko does deliver to the watch people. It makes the watch world a good place. I don't care about their watches, but I can appreciate that.
Bulova.
I mean, I always give Bulova. I mean, again, keeping price in mind,
Sure.
I always keep Bulova like between B and A. I'll give them a B, but I really love Bulova. I mean, I'm probably close to A on Bulova.
Really?
I just love the Mille ship so much. So much.
Is that the diver?
The Milstrip's is the diver that my dad and I have. I think it's truly one of the greatest watches under $1,000. It's like $700 and just not get the attention it deserves. It's just a perfect watch. I think their Oceanographer GMT I think is a great watch. I think that so many of their watches are great. The brand obviously has like the segmented collection, like one like mall watch kind of side of the space, and then one like serious watch collector side of the space. I just think that Bulova is just a kind of a perfect watch to recommend somebody.
They're a brand also that has a crazy history, but they're slowly, I feel like, pulling from their archive more and more and being like, okay, we'll release this and tell you the story of it. And that's where you start to like the brand.
Could be a no-brainer over the next 3 years.
Yeah, and I think you should definitely, if you can, see their museum.
Yeah.
Because that's where you convert over immediately. You're like, wow, that is cool.
Yes.
That's your history.
I think that
Bulova
stands for a lot more. Bulova stands for a lot more than all the other people in B, which is why I have a hard time with it. But I'm going to keep them there.
Okay.
I think Bulova stands for more than Seiko. I think Bulova stands for more than UN. I think Bulova stands for more than Tissot. And I think that the quality is fantastic and the price is really, really fair. So that's it.
Chopard.
I
would think they haven't caught my attention this year at all.
Yeah.
The Alpine Eagle is fantastic, but that's been the Alpine Eagle for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, B, C.
Okay. In terms of their general watch quality, B, A. In terms of what they've done this year, I think C.
Yeah.
Not that they're not a great brand.
Someone reached out to me, a comedian friend, and he said, should I buy an Alpine Eagle high frequency? And I said, you own a Vacheron Constantin 222. What the fuck are you talking about? I said, you own better.
That I would say is Chopard's issue. They didn't take a daring leap in design.
Nope.
They're like, this sells well.
Yep.
So you kind of have to be a fan of the brand before and be like, I'll get your version then.
If you buy an Alpine Eagle, it probably means you either couldn't get or couldn't afford or didn't want to allocate the resources toward the watch you actually want.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a brutal truth.
That's it. Now, if the Alpine Eagle was more decisive in its design and more independent, it didn't have the Nautilus ears and the bolt, it didn't have so much inspiration from other brands, then I wouldn't feel that way, right? I don't feel that way about a lot of watches that are in the same price bracket, but I do feel that way about Chopard. I just don't think that they really made a decision. I think it's an alternative watch.
Yeah. Breitling.
Breitling's tough.
Whoa, I just saw the watch you're wearing.
Yeah.
You little sicko.
Yeah, you little sicko. I think that Breitling is
this year.
This year I'd say B. I think over the last 5, I put them kind of at A.
Because of their whole kind of like, we're retaking the brand. It's not this super loud, crazy bling brand. Like we're going back to our heritage. I would put it there. My only wish, which I always say, actually I don't say about Breitling.
Maybe A. I know that sounds sick, but maybe A.
Well, they had a good release. I think they're also saying like, hey, we have some winners that we didn't really take full advantage of. And maybe it's a lot to be like, we're going to release it in 36, 34, 38, 40, 42, 46, one model. But I think that is the epitome of like, it's essentially what we praise Tudor for, so we can't say it's bad when Breitling does it. But just being like, okay, if you go in the store and I go in the store and you're 6'5", you and I can get the same watch, just respectfully fitted to our wrists.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it can be a little bit,
it gets a little bit like exactly where you're like, well, you didn't really think of anything. You just went like this on Photoshop.
I definitely agree with that. But I just think that the sheer amount of great watches in a Breitling case is just, I think it's, to say it's unparalleled isn't fair. I just don't think that most of the brands have that many winners. Yeah. Breitling has more. I'd say Breitling has more winners than almost any other brand on this category. Now, winners to the level of some of the winners here, like I don't think there is a Breitling as good as the Normal Skeleton.
Oh, of course.
I don't think there is a Breitling as good as the Octofinissimo chronograph.
That's it. When you think
and they're comparably priced. Like Bulgari is in that kind of like $12,000 to $20,000 range, and Breitling, while skews less expensive, does have significant overlap. There's overlap.
Yeah.
I think that but by volume, Breitling has the most winners.
What is Breitling's icon?
So it's the Navitimer, but it's not the Navitimer for me.
Right.
Like
same.
Like Yeah, I'm not like I love the Navitimer. My dad loves the Navitimer. I'm not a chrono guy, so for me, it's just not the thing.
I am. I've never really been like I love the Navitimer. I've tried to a lot, but to me, the icon of Breitling is Jerry Seinfeld and his bracelet.
Totally.
The Breitling bracelet.
The Breitling bullet
I forget
bracelet.
I call it the macaroni bracelet.
Yeah, the bullet.
The bullet bracelet.
Is
Thank
an
you.
absolute icon. I don't think that watches get all that much better than the Premier line. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
I think between the chronograph, between the split second, some of the stuff in rose gold, I think it's kind of the best. It's kind of among the best.
Yeah.
And I don't like I love Breitling as a brand. I love their collection. I wish that they were. I'm on record saying I don't think they're marketed very well. I think
Really?
Go figure. I think that they've achieved more on a catalog level than almost any other brand has, and I think that they've done so much. There's so many public marketing initiatives that matter, right? Like Omega, except I just don't think that either brand is actually speaking to the watch industry very well.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of watch people are not gravitating toward a Breitling, right? Despite the fact that the catalog is undeniably awesome. And I don't just think that you should be buying yourself a Breitling. I think you actually should be buying your wife a Breitling too. And I think that if Breitling put another couple $100,000, not couple $100,000, but if Breitling put another, let's say, $2 to $4 million a year behind storytelling to the watch community, I think they would return in spades, and I just don't think it would be very difficult. I really don't. I think that Breitling could have an internal team of 3, right? And what are 3 internal marketers? $100,000 a piece, right? So Breitling, or maybe $125,000. I don't really know, but let's say Breitling, could it's for $350,000 in salaries, could manage another $3 million in budget, and have everyone in the watch industry talking about how great Breitling is almost every day. Like on a weekly basis, we would be saying, Breitling's good, huh?
Yeah.
But instead, how often do we talk about Breitling? I
Virtually
don't just mean
never.
you and I. Like, how often do people talk about Breitling? It's not that often. But of course, people in the regular folks outside of the watch industry get it, and Breitling makes a lot of money off of their clout historically. Sure. The catalog is awesome, no doubt. Their brand is strong. I just don't understand why they don't allocate some resources behind storytelling. It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't.
Yeah, no,
really
I fully agree.
I'm sorry, one more. For the price of a moderate build out of a boutique.
Yeah.
Right? $3 million.
Yeah.
You can have the whole watch industry talking about you. It makes no sense that they don't do that.
You know what's funny is we've thought that for a while, and I feel it with Breitling where I'm like, that's a beautiful watch, but I don't know why it's not. I can feel that you're selling to me, and I feel that you are in the case. I don't see you as a watch where I'm like, I want to take you out and go on an adventure. I'm like, oh yeah, you're in a case at a boutique.
Totally.
That's your brand. That being said,
that's actually really, that's you're totally dead on.
Boom. That reminded me, you going on that rant, and while I was looking something up because I was just letting you go, that reminded me of the first time you and I ever shot together. It was at London Jewelers, and Anna pressed record on the camera, and then was like, okay, so, and we walked away. And I was like, do we need to monitor the camera or anything? And she's like, no, he just goes. You just press record and you walk away. And I was looking at you, not knowing you at all, and just watching you. I couldn't hear you, but just seeing
how does he do that?
I was like, that's the weirdest thing. Anyways, last thing I'll say, the one rose gold watch that I never stop thinking about is the Chronomat 36 from Breitling. Yeah. I think I think the Chronomat 36 in general is an incredible alternative to a lot of watches, but that rose gold watch, unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I agree. I think that's an amazing watch. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. That's a stunner. With the bullet bracelet, it's more refined, but you still have that. So cool.
It's insane.
So cool.
Yeah. The fact that my dad doesn't have 3 Breitlings in yellow it's insane.
Yeah,
and
truly.
it's just because of lack of storytelling. There's no other reason.
Yeah, he doesn't feel cool when he puts it on. He doesn't feel like he's putting on that story.
Yeah, he remembers that. I think you're supposed to feel cool when you wear a Breitling.
Yeah,
that's definitely true. I just don't remember why.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Huh. That's how everyone feels.
Okay,
Hublot. Quickly.
This year, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't even say this year. Now that we've been doing this for 3 years together, you see the Hublot formula and you're like, okay. So you release that watch in plastic concrete mix. That's kind of cool, I guess. Their designs, I do think are cool. The prices on some watches I don't think are that bad, really at all. But in terms of innovation, their innovation to me is so aggressive that it becomes predictable. I'm like, okay, you're making it out of concrete, but it's the same watch at the end of the day. I would put them B or C. You can pick.
Yeah, you're dead on. I'm going to put them in B.
B, okay.
But I understand where you're coming from. I think that some of their watches are A's.
Yep.
I think that by and large, the catalog straddles between B and C.
Yep.
We'll give them a B.
JLC. I don't even want to talk about them that much. Their price hikes have been the subject of discussion for a year and a half, 2 years now. And while they make amazing watches, I think that absolutely kills their brand from a watch nerd's perspective.
I agree. I just think that, I mean, listen, God.
Yeah.
Price hikes, you're right. I was gonna say what did they release this year? And I knew that it was the chronograph. I knew that was great.
Is it released yet? Did it come out yet?
Oh yeah.
I meant is it being sold?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd give, despite the so I think that the watches are a no-brainer. No-brainer.
Sure.
I
don't argue with that.
No-brainer.
Yeah.
So the question is, are they good enough where the price hikes don't drag the brand down? And I think that net, we're really getting very, very close to B because of the price hikes. But between, the new Polaris watches, between the complicated Master Collection, between the
Master
Reverso chronograph, I gotta keep them in A. I got to keep them in A. Even though their price hikes really give a freaking argument for them to get a ding down.
Yep.
I got to give them an A still.
I would probably go B, but I'm cool with A.
Yep.
Raymond Weil, I have no idea why it's still on this list.
Yeah.
You want to know what Raymond Weil is? And if you have one, it's a great watch. It's one of my first watches. They're always...
My mom has one.
They're built really well. Yeah. They're very solid. They are the brand that people say, is this worth anything?
Yes.
Always.
That's such a good question.
So many people have said to me, I have a Raymond Weil. Is that worth anything?
Yeah. I think so. The answer is... Michael and I read about watches and talk about watches all year, and neither of us have an opinion on the brand. And that's not because we're dumb. It's because on an optimistic side, they just are not interested in educating the watch community on what they're doing. So either they're doing nothing or they're not interested in communicating what they are doing.
Right. Which a lot of brands, if they're just in a boutique, just sell.
Right.
They just move.
So I give them, for sheer just who are you, I give them a D. I would not be surprised to learn if their watches were a C or even if one thing in their collection was a B. I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know.
On the this year's scale, did this brand come up at all? No.
Right.
I don't even think sponsored.
The only time the Raymond Weil brand came up, I think, was when people found out the movement inside the IWC on Janor. Oh, that was Bauer Mercier. Never mind.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's the same movement. No. Okay, what do we want to start chopping off?
Lange Söhne.
Lange Söhne. We went to Germany this year, so for me, they're way up. Well, for me, they're way up there. But the secrets you learned in Germany. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with them. You just learn how things are made, and you're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think this is... I don't know. They used to make smaller, thinner watches, I feel like. And as they became more of who they are, they were like, okay, we'll open them up a little bit. They'll get a little bit larger. They're unrivaled in a lot of things. But it seems like they're focusing more and more on high complications.
Yeah, I think that there are the award for consistently underwhelming releases.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Goes to a Lange Söhne,
which at one time it didn't.
They
were the disruptor.
Yeah,
but now it's like, oh, you made another watch that looks like
you just
that other
made it
watch.
in honey gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's not news.
Yeah.
That's not news.
Yeah, that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah. And I love Lange. Like I would love,
I would love one as well.
I would love a Lange. I'd love a Lange 1. I should probably just buy my dad a Lange 1. I don't know.
They have incredibly strong
just do that?
design language. You know a Lange when you see one. But in terms of what did you do this year, it's like, well, you did what you did last year, and you did what you did the year before. Which another brand on this list, actually, a big brand, I'm going to say the same thing about.
So, I mean, the Lange 1 is an S.
Yes.
The Lange 1 is an S.
Yes.
Lange Söhne as a brand, B.
Yeah.
B.
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, this is...
The datograph is an S.
They have a lot of S watches.
1815 chronograph, S.
Sure.
It's just like, what have you done for me lately? The Lange 1 time zone, S. The Zeitwerk, S.
Yeah.
So I'm contradicting myself in a way because so much of the catalog is great. It's just like it's all yesterday's achievements.
Yeah.
What have you done to make these watches better or more interesting, or what have you done to expand the collection? I don't like the Odysseus. I don't like it. I don't care about it.
Here's a question for you. Lange died, then came back, then got sold very, very fast.
Yeah.
Do you think now it's like, all right, we got the formula, forget it. But if Lange wasn't sold, they would be,
of course,
way more daring.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They get sold to Richemont.
I think Richemont. The Datograph Lumen S, one of the greatest watches of all time. The brand sounds crazy. Give him a B.
I think they got leashed.
When you wear a Lange, you're wearing you're definitely getting the credit because you're going to be wearing a great Lange. You're wearing an S. I don't know. Fuck, it's hard. I'm between A and B, but I'll stick with B.
I'm okay with B.
It's crazy to see Lange next to Hublot. I know that's sick. I know that's
we'll make it a little
sick.
better. Put next to Seiko.
But all right, next.
Okay, this one I think is a delayed. You got your kudos. The 222 came out originally, and it was like, why is everybody talking about this watch? Like, I get it. It looks like the old 222.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful watch, but it's really like we're just hopping on the integrated bracelet train. We're just hopping on this. We're hopping on that. This year, though, celebrities went nuts.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, Andrew Schultz, I think, has one. Your comedian friend has one. I think the 222, for some reason, this year hit when last year when it was released, I believe, it didn't move as much.
Yep.
So for that, from a awareness perspective, I would actually bump them up. I don't know what we ranked them last year, but I would put them to an A.
Yeah, I think Vacheron's definitely an A. I want to see some more stuff come from them. Obviously, I'm
the
excited to see
222
some stuff.
is one thing.
I think that the oh geez, is it the Historiques?
Yeah, sideways.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great watches.
I think so too.
Period. It's big, but if you could pull it off, I think it's great. So yeah, I definitely give them an A.
Done.
Definitely.
Tag. You are a big
on Tag.
Big convert for Tag.
Yeah, I mean,
this year.
Historically, Tag is for me a C.
Yeah.
I want to give them an A. I just can't do that. I give them a B.
I don't think they're an A yet.
Yeah, but their growth is just unbelievable. I think that what they've done is amazing. We have a full video coming out about it. It's just. I'm so impressed by Tag Heuer. I know it's mostly reissues. I know it's not the most original shit in the world.
But sometimes, if your brand is strong enough and you completely ignored all of the pillars of your brand for so long, frankly, just being like, you know what, we're actually not going to focus on smartwatches anymore. Like, we were just kidding. We're going to focus on our heritage. It's like, all right, you're going up the list then because you have so many good things.
Yeah. I think.
I want to see them mix their old design language in a little bit more in their reissues.
I mean, I'm gonna keep them at B. They're arguably at A, and their growth has just been unbelievable. What they've been able to achieve is unbelievable. I'm really, really impressed. I think that, and when I said reissue, I was wrong. They're not reissues. They're logical continuations of historical models. That's not the same thing as a reissue.
It's like saying a Submariner is
CS311,
reissued every year, but it's not. It's iterated.
No, exactly. So yeah, I want to give them an A. I won't. That's a little wild. I'll give them a B, but they're pretty close to A.
AP. This year. They just did.
B.
I think they released Royal Oaks and ousted their CEO.
Yeah.
Or that was last year.
Yeah, B.
B.
I mean, yeah, B. Obviously, public perception on Royal Oak, super expensive.
Yeah, of course,
Obviously, blah, blah, blah. You're wearing a Royal Oak. You're wearing one of the greatest watches. You're wearing an AP. You're wearing one of the greatest watches. I think that they did a great job fixing their 1159. And that's great.
The 1159, I'm hoping next year will be what puts them to A or S, because this year or last year, the Starry Dial or the chronograph line in general was where I was like, I would buy that watch.
That was the perpetual.
If I had money to burn,
Yeah, it's insane.
If I had money to burn, I'd be looking at that watch.
Yeah.
When before, I didn't think that. So hopefully next year, it's like, oh, that's a definite C.
Yeah. AP could definitely be at A or S.
If AP hits another watch out of the park, like it doesn't have to be the Royal Oak level because that's unbelievable. If they hit another watch out of the park, like the code goes a little bit higher, they'll shoot up the ranks. But right now, it's like, we're just watching you release the same watch.
Yeah. If AP, like long story short, AP's got the Royal Oak, right? Yep. AP's got the 1159, which I think is a great model. I think it's a great model. AP's got the Offshore collection.
Yes.
So they got this like big badass,
Royal
brutal sports, offshore. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Right? For the big guys. Then you've got the Royal Oak for basically everybody.
Yep.
Then you've got the 1159 for people that actually understand watches a little bit more.
And people that want to get on the list for a Royal Oak.
Right. And then I think that the final tier there is dress watch. And I think that if AP created a brutalist dress watch, a tank sort of style dress watch, open work dials, very similar to Gerald Charles and what's going on over there.
That
I
is
think AP would. That
we
would
should
be
have put them on this list.
AP's at S.
Yeah.
That happens.
If that
AP's
happens.
at S.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I don't even think I'd necessarily create an entry-level model of that watch. I think I would go exclusively open worked. I would go exclusively $100,000 tank, AP style watch. Again, brutalist case, classic, AP finished case.
Hard,
Maybe even carved out lugs like we see in the 1159.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's
Yeah,
it. AP's S. AP does at that point what I don't know if Patek or I don't know if Vacheron could ever do in like resurrecting and becoming perfectly well-rounded.
Yep.
Period.
Omega.
Because AP does not create duds at the same level that Patek does. Patek creates duds often.
I think this was kind of a dud year for Patek.
Very, very much, I'd say.
You would agree?
Yeah,
the blue gold series, the blue gold line in general.
I think you're right. So AP could be that. But at the moment, B.
Well, where do you put Patek then? Because we're talking this year again. I just want to reiterate: these are fantastic. It's Patek, obviously, but we're talking this year specifically.
B.
Yeah. We look like such watch. This is going to be memed forever.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Okay, Omega, another brand. Omega, I feel like, is due for a big year. It just wasn't this year.
Yeah.
This year, I feel like people were like, please just like release a bug fix here. Like update this bracelet, change this a little bit. But like just get all of your watches up to the quality of the bracelet of the Speedmaster and we'll be happy.
Yeah.
And Omega didn't do that.
Yep.
They did their 150 Seamaster year. I forget specifically what that was called, which was cool. Yep. But it was like, if you just remachined that bracelet, I think people would love that way more than a new collection for right now.
I think Omega had a B year.
I would agree.
I think that it's a great watch brand. I don't know if any other brand on this list will grow as much as Omega in the next 5 years. I think Omega is, and deserves it, and deservedly so. Omega is just a phenomenal brand. I think that this year was B, but I could very easily see Omega in A. I'd be more likely to recommend someone buy an Omega over a Breitling. I'd be more likely. I know people feel more passionate about Omega than Breitling for good reason.
The Moon.
I think this year was just. I think it's a B year.
Hot take: the Moon would not exist if it wasn't for Omega. I'm saving Rolex to the end, obviously, but I feel like that's the sign off of the video always. Longines. I think you're going to put this close to S.
I give them an A.
Okay.
I think they had an amazing year.
Yeah.
I think that their master in salmon is perfect.
Yes.
I think their new legend diver is perfect.
The new legend diver.
Yeah, they just released one just the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Smaller size, new dials. Amazing.
Whoa. A smaller? I think they have like a 36 or something.
Yeah, I think it's a 39 now.
39. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's a perfect watch. They did a great job. The bracelet is insane. I tried this watch on. It's perfect.
The Longines is probably one of your most worn watches, I think, of this year.
Yeah.
I love that it's not indices. I love that it's actual numbers.
Yep.
I think it's beautiful. I tried it on. It just fits the wrist perfectly.
Yep. The only thing that watch isn't is white gold.
Yep.
Yep.
But soon.
Longines just did an amazing job. Just period. A year.
Panerai. This year.
C.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
why
or B. Like
well,
B or
no.
C.
I want to argue for C because I don't know what they did this year, truthfully. As in, like, what did you do?
It's just a lot of reissues. It's a lot of fake patina, which I like.
Sure.
It's just not interesting. I think that. How about this? I think that Panerai released a lot of watches that I think are cool. I don't think they released anything important.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
I don't think that Panerai nailed it like Tag did. I don't think that Panerai nailed it like AP, relatively speaking.
Sure.
I don't think that Panerai nailed it like the Freak. I don't think that Panerai, I don't know. I think they're great. They're cool. They're really neat.
Yeah.
They're neat watches, and I think that they have upward mobility.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them that I recommend. I'd be like, that's a really cool watch on your wrist. I actually like that. Would you buy it? No.
Yeah.
But I like it.
No.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Tudor. Actually, this is a big year for Tudor because we had a lot
54.
We had 54. We had Matas certified through. I think it's going to go through their entire line. They finally updated the original Black Bay to look a little bit better.
Yeah.
I feel like they are now creeping towards like, okay, we didn't do our bezel like that because that's too close to the Submariner, so we won't do that. But now they're like, but we will get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
I think they had a big year. Like, they had the bug fix year that I think Omega should have had, and great releases on top of that.
Yeah.
I would put them... Ooh, I might even go S.
No, stop it. Don't be ridiculous.
I was Casio and Bulgari.
Oh,
How
you're
is that ridiculous?
They're a B. It's a B.
A B?
Look where they are relative. You're going to tell me that Tudor had as good a year. I mean, listen, I disagreed with the Zenith, right? I would have put Zenith more in the B category.
Okay, sure.
Do you really think that Tudor had a significantly better year than Omega? I mean, did Tudor significantly 54? I don't
54
know.
And those refinements, I think, was huge. I think that, like, if Omega redid their Seamaster bracelets, they would shoot up to the top.
What else did Tudor do? 54, what else?
54, Matas certified. They updated. Oh, they redid the Black Bay 36 line. They had their OP thing. Wow, they just updated it. You saw them in person.
Yeah.
I think they had a huge year.
Okay.
And
yeah, maybe you're right.
Funny enough, what made me think about that was the Red Bull line, which I don't like that it says Red Bull on it. But that was such a departure from what they were doing that I think that's a big, like, you're still making daring moves.
I'll give him an A. I could see how some of the choices we've made here put them in an A.
Now that I look at these,
because it's tough because you're trying to be relative. Like, I don't think that Tudor has done as well as Tag Heuer. I don't. I think that I'd recommend. I'd recommend
do you want to do a swap?
Carrera,
or not even a swap, but we can push up.
I don't think this is perfect. I think we've done a good job.
Yeah, I mean, look at our S tier.
I really feel that way about Bulgari.
It's such a funny
S
tier.
It's ridiculous.
Rolex. I will tee you up. I'm not going to give a rating. Rolex had a weird release year.
The 1908 line.
The 1908. The Celebration dial. The Puzzle dial. What else did they do? And then
the GMT in gold.
GMT in gold. They discontinue a few OP colors?
They did.
That's a weird year.
It's a weird year. I'll give them a... They did a lot, which I can appreciate. I mean, I'll give them an A.
A. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I don't think they're S.
No, not S. I'll give them an A.
What would they have to do to be S?
I don't know if they'll ever be S. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just... Rolex will never be as innovative as Bulgari. Rolex will never be as interesting as Bulgari.
Or Casio.
Right? Like, they're just not going to be as daring or I don't know, or as classic. They're not going to do are they going to do easy answer, Milgauss. Right?
Oh,
Milgauss, it would have been S.
They brought back the Milgauss.
It would have been like, yep, you had an S here. You killed it. You made a perfect Milgauss.
You thought about it. You moved on.
You thought about it. You did an amazing job. You get an S.
Yeah.
But I don't think that happened. So I think that it's A. I think that hopefully next year S.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that was pretty good.
What a crazy list. That is probably the weirdest one we've made.
We're insane.
Yeah,
we have
definitely.
mental problems.
Casio and Bulgari.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like more content from Theo and Harris, go and subscribe over to The Zero. Join our community over there. And if you do go and join for our weekly podcast, shoot me a DM. I'd love to talk to you over there. I can't answer everyone's messages on YouTube, but I can over on The Zero. So I hope to see you on over there. Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.